Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP. Nick is here in attendance with me once more because today we're going to be going through our NXT recap from last night's edition of the show. This is the Tuesday, 11th of November edition. So right into the action. Let's get straight into everything that took place across the course of the night. Discuss all that happened, and just break everything down. So, first and foremost, we would start the show with the culling, and more specifically, the NXT Women's Champion, Tatum Paxley. She said last week that she had something to say and something to announce or whatever, and that she had to basically be in the ring to do so. So, kicking off with those sentiments right here, right now, she would basically go on to say how she loves being announced as the NXT Women's Champion. It's a feeling that she will never get tired of. But she does blame herself for the loss last week, before saying that she needs to listen to her friends if she is to keep the title. That's when Izzy Dame steps into the conversation. She asks Tatum to stop giving out title shots to anybody that walks through the door, which Tatum does reluctantly agree to at first. But she does say that she had so much fun spinning the wheel, and then the crowd seemed to have a little of a pop for the wheel. Izzy carries on, saying how not everyone deserves a shot at the title, and then we get Fatal Influence coming on down. So JC Jane spearheading the trio here, basically wanting her title back, and she'd be very quick to sort of get those aspirations back out there. She would relate with Tatum at first, basically saying, you know, if you're giving out opportunities, then one should go to me, one should go to myself. The woman who runs the division, whether she has the title or not, and the woman who carried the company on her back for a large period of time throughout the year. In her own words, of course. Izzy discredits JC's claims. Before then, Jane says Tatum is the one in charge, not her. It's up to her what she does. Tatum, just being the absolute spirit that she is, decides to give JC her rematch at Gold Rush, and then after that, she promises to be a bit more of a cautious champion going forward if she is to overcome JC Jane on one more occasion. So, JC would get that title rematch booked in for NXT Gold Rush, and Tatum Paxley, just an absolute spirit of energy in the ring there, just dancing around as she made the announcement. And, we do have a rematch scheduled to come up very, very soon. We would then go into our first match of the evening, and this would see Jasper Troy challenge El Grande Americano for the WWE Speed Championship. This was, the culmination of a tournament that took place over the last couple of weeks, and an opportunity here for Jasper Troy to get his first singles gold in WWE since winning LFG Season 1. And that would actually be what he would do in the end here, call it a shock victory if you will. Ryo and Bravo, who are at ringside, they get ejected after a little while, after an altercation with Jasper and his chains specifically. There's a bit of a tug-and-war type situation going on the outside. As they're leaving, they do give a metal plate to El Grande Americano, who puts it in a singlet. He hits a headbutt onto Jasper Troy, which obviously normally he'd have the plate in his mask. So this headbutt didn't do as much damage, and Troy wasn't as spark out after receiving it. El Grande then tries to sort of put the metal plate into his mask after hitting the headbutt. But the referee does notice what he's doing, sort of inquisitively goes over and checks on him, and then after a little bit of a thing, the metal plate falls to the canvas, falls onto the mat, and then as that happens, Jasper squashes Americano into the turnbuckles before then hitting a black hole slam to get the victory. So yeah, it was maybe a little bit of an unexpected win. I think we're so used to seeing El Grande Americano pull out these metal plate headbutt wins from the clutches of defeat. And on this occasion, didn't really work out for him. He was second best here, and Jasper Troy just taking advantage of the opportunities it sees itself. And we get a brand new speed champion off the back of that. So yeah, Jasper Troy with a big win here. So his first title in WWE is quite interesting for sure. He definitely isn't the guy that you look at and you think of speed, but he is the speed champion. Next up, we would go into our first women's match of the night. Now we would see Thea Hale go one-on-one with Alba Fire, the sort of spewing situation from last week with the championship celebration from Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. And this would see Alba Fire getting into the ring and having a one-on-one matchup with Thea Hale. This one was an okay match, to be fair. Wasn't anything spectacular or special. Just decent enough one-on-one between the two ladies. And it doesn't go without, is I guess, a little bit of controversy and a little bit of stuff on the outside. tends to be the way. But basically, the action does spill to ringside, where Chelsea Green accidentally slaps Ethan Page. As a result of that one, the focus is more about them sort of dealing with each other. And then we do get the finish in the end, which is Thea Hale reversing a gory bomb attempt from Alba Fire. She reverses it into a sunset flip cover, and that will be enough to get the victory here. Just a sneaker 1-2-3 against the Secret Harvest. So yeah, big win for Thea Hale. Her and Joe Hendry getting some real momentum going into their mixed tag team championship match that's coming up very, very soon. So yeah, a big win for Thea, and puts a little bit of pressure on Chelsea Green and Ethan Page. And speaking of putting pressure on, we would see Javon Evans in the middle of the ring, ready to cut a promo in our next segment of the show. And he would immediately refer to being selected to compete in the Last Time Is Now tournament, where he's going to be competing on Monday Night Raw next week up against none other than Der Ring General Gunther. So already he said that he was, quite nervous, but he was also very excited about the prospect. So yeah, he knows that he's in for a tough match against Gunther. And he's also nervous because at the age of 21, he's going to be competing at Madison Square Garden. So that's obviously quite the honor and quite the special occasion for Javon Evans. And he would basically just sort of summarize that very quickly. He then go on to say that he has an announcement to make before getting Leon Slater on the Titantron, the X Division champion from TNA. And he would say that next week, Ava and Santino have authorized them to have a tag team match up against Dark State for the NXT Tag Team Championships. So definitely wanting to get those tag team titles, wanting to sort of get some payback after what Dark State did to the Hardys. And yeah, they don't want to stand for Dark State sort of actions going around on NXT, TNA, whatever you like to call it. We then get Dark State appearing in the crowd, kind of a say their name, they appear situation here. And they would essentially have warned Javon Evans that they will do to them what they did to the Hardy Boys. They isolate Javon like sharks in the ring before then Javon very sort of very much of a swagger in a step here. Starts basically calling Dark State dumb as hell. And we then see Leon Slater just rush into the ring, accompanying Javon Evans, and then the two of them fend off all four members of Dark State to clear the ring to end the segment. So yeah, our first half of NXT, bits here and there for sure. We've got a rematch. The NXT Women's Championship been announced. Tatum versus JC. Brand new WWC champion crowd on the men's division. So Jasper Troy with his first taste of gold in WWE and NXT. Alba Fire taking a loss here to Thea Hale, but get some serious momentum for her and Joe Hendry going forward to their mixed tag team championship contest. And then Javon Evans and Leon Slater bringing it to Dark State. What did you make of our first half of NXT, Nick?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good first half. I think specifically the dynamic between Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame, I think is pretty entertaining, and the rest of the polling kind of disagreeing on how she should go about defending and or not defending, I suppose, and then kind of giving that up. I just the free spirited nature against the kind of I guess closed-minded, the calling, I guess we could say. I like that. It's entertaining to me. And then having Fatal Influence come out and get that rematch for JC Jane, I think that could be a good match. I don't think Tatum will lose it that quickly, but Fatal Influence is quite the handful. So it should be an interesting match, and at the very least, it should be a hard fought victory for Tatum, hopefully to kind of prove Izzy's side, which is, you shouldn't be defending it this often. But yeah, looking forward to that one next week on Gold Rush. The El Grande Americano and Jasper Troy match I thought was good as well. It is crazy to me. I know you have historically mentioned you didn't minute bit for the speed matches, but it is kind of crazy to me how much the extra 2 minutes really adds to these matches. In this particular one, it just gave him more kind of time to kind of build a story, which obviously it should be obvious, but it just makes it that much better. I think I've said this before as well. If they were to move the 3 minutes to 5 minutes, I think that could make a world of difference. But yeah, I thought this was a good match. As you kind of mentioned, I was shocked that El Grande Americano lost. His tactics kind of turning on its head there. And Jasper Troy, as he kind of alluded to in his promo later, isn't really the guy you would think of when you think of a speed championship. But regardless, he's proving that he can do it. Yeah, it's interesting. Pretty quick for him to get a title. Obviously, he's had a shot before. Yeah, interesting to see how Jasper Troy will handle that going forward, and if El Grande Americano will stick around on NXT or he'll go back kind of full time to the main roster. But regardless, I thought that was fun for what it was worth. The Alba Fire Thea Hale match, I actually thought that one was pretty entertaining. I think it's just a combination of everyone involved is super entertaining. Obviously, Alba Fire Thea Hale is kind of coming into her own, and I think you kind of partner her with Joe Hendry. Yeah, that's just an entertaining duo. And then on the side, you have Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. How could you can't mess that up really. So I thought this was one of the better matches of the night, if not the best. I thought everyone kind of played their part, and then the ending, albeit a bit crowded, it just kind of worked for what it was. And yeah, looking forward to that mixed match tag championship match on Gold Rush as well. Yeah, I think it seems kind of forced at first with Thea Hale and Joe Hendry, but the more I see him, the more it kind of works with the Hale, yeah, and the I believe. So I don't know. I think it's fun, and it's kind of I think what that division WWE kind of hopes that division can be, and I think continues to test it out. But obviously Chelsea Green and Ethan Page are very entertaining in their own right. So yeah, looking forward to that one. And then the promo with Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Javon Evans is just kind of having fun. You can kind of see it in his promos now, and Leon Slater kind of doing the same. A very uh, interesting dynamic between the two, and yeah, I think they could. Like I said before, I think eventually if they get on the same roster, I think they could cause a lot of chaos. But going up against Dark State will be no easy task. But I think both teams really sold this well. Obviously, Dark State selling their intimidation factor, and Leon and Javon showing that they fear nothing. And yeah, so that should be a ton of fun at Gold Rush as well. But yeah, really good first half of NXT, and feel like doing a great job of building to Gold Rush over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, NXT Gold Rush moving along steadily here. The build does seem to be sort of like piecing together at this point. Let's go through to our second half of NXT, starting with the second first round matchup of the Women's Speed Championship tournament, and we would get a debuting Skylar Ray, the winner of LFG Season 2, taking on Fallon Henley. I was quite interested when they announced this match. I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it? Because Skylar Ray, obviously, with the LFG victory, you're probably thinking, could probably do with a victory in her first matchup on NXT. So then when her name was announced to go up 1-on-1 against Fallon Henley in her debut, I was thinking, well, oh, hold on a minute. Fallon Henley probably shouldn't be taking a loss in this particular matchup here. So I was already a little bit skeptical about that one. Then Skylar comes out, and what was very impressive about Skylar in season 2 of LFG was that she completely turned her character around, completely transformed herself to be something very, very different from that of season 1, where she was sort of, I don't know, lost in the shuffle in the first season. But the second season, she completely turned herself around, had a change of style, and just saw a more intense side of herself. And then it almost seemed like they went back to season 1 Skylar for this debut on NXT. So that was quite fascinating for this one. Obviously, it makes sense because Fallon's a heel. I get that sense. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a little bit of a weird thing. As for the matchup, it was quite fun, though. Enjoyed the match. Thought it was pretty good, back and forth between the two ladies. You mentioned, obviously, with the difference between the final matchup for a speed tournament and obviously the regular matches being those couple of minutes. And we could have had, a fair few more minutes this one because it was quite fast-paced and quite good to watch. But yeah, Fallon Henley getting the victory in the end here over Skylar Ray, so not letting her get a big moment here on her debut. But she did come out looking pretty good and pretty strong, despite taking a loss in under 3 minutes to Fallon Henley. So yeah, Fallon advances. She'll take on Zarya in the final, where we will crown a new women's speed champion. So will it be Zarya or Fallon Henley? We'll have to find out when that match comes to play. But for now, decent win for Fallon and a pretty decent debut here for Skylar Ray. Going to our next match, we would have Tavion Heights 1-on-1 with Josh Briggs. This sort of stemmed from a match a couple of weeks ago between Tavion and Mars Bourne, where Josh Briggs would be interfering with that matchup and essentially almost costing Tavion the win directly there in that one as well. But it would be a little bit of payback here for Tavion Heights because he would defeat Josh Briggs in this contest. Briggs looks to go for 2 big boots, hits both of them, sort of like really back-to-back quick fashion there. And he looks for a third, which he sort of bounces off the rope to try and hit this third one. He misses, gets his leg caught over the top rope, and then Tavion capitalizes, hits a belly to belly, and that'll be enough to get the victory for Tavion Heights. He's somebody that really impresses me every time he's in the ring, Tavion. I think he's just a superb athlete, just really, really exceptional to watch. I think he's just going to be getting better and better as time goes on. But yeah, every time I see him in the ring, he does definitely impress me in just different ways. And I think he's got that power game. Someone like Josh Briggs, who's pretty physically quite dominant character, because this was quite a physical matchup, so you have to be that sort of guy to really go toe to toe with someone like Josh Briggs. And Tavion has that in spades, but he's also agile, he's also quick on his feet. Just a pretty complete athlete, to be fair. Really do like what I see from Heights. Got a big future ahead of him, if dealt with correctly. But yeah, this match was pretty good. I enjoyed the physicality of the contest, and I thought both men really just sort of like made each other shine. But yeah, Tavion coming out looking probably the better out of the two men, in my opinion, after a pretty good contest. So Tavion with a big win. And then we would have our main event for NXT. This would see Ricky Saints defending his NXT Championship against Trick Williams in a last man standing match. Obviously, a lot of history between these two men. Ricky recently winning a matchup against Trick, but now having to go up against him one more time here in a pretty hellacious contest. This was quite the fun match. For an NXT show, you're not going to see like an all-time PLE type contest, but this was quite fun for what it was worth. I thought both guys sort of utilized the stipulation quite well. They did a few things which just made it quite a fascinating contest. Unique uses of like steel steps and just weapons galore, steel chair shots to the back, especially on Trick Williams. It was absolutely hellacious. Kendo sticks. There was a lot going on in this contest, but it was really, really fun. We get to a point in the end of the contest where the fight spills into the stands behind the commentary desk. They're sort of just like going back and forth. And as they're doing this, it eventually gets to a position where Ricky Saints spears Trick Williams out of the crowd and actually through the announce table. It's quite a crazy spear, to be fair. Just shoves him right through from the crowd. And the finish is a little maybe I don't know, subjective how you think this one went down. I guess you could see the good and the bad here. The good being that both men absolutely out of it, both men sort of like getting back up to their feet quite slowly and sluggishly, and it's almost like a bit of a stare down, as if to say, this is the last moment of this feud. This is it, right here, right now, this moment. This is it right here. And as they sort of are getting back up to their feet, Ricky just shoves Trick Williams down on the count of 9, just before 10. And then as Trick falls to the ground, Ricky stands up. We then get the 10 count, which claims to be that Ricky Saints retains his NXT Championship. So, on the back of it, you can think of that as like, quite an iconic moment with, just shoving him down. But also you could think, I don't know, maybe it was a little bit anticlimactic. I'm not too sure. I think I'm quite interested to see what you made of the finish specifically here, Nick. Maybe, whether you liked it or not, that particular last moment. But it was quite interesting for sure. They tried something different, so I can appreciate the sense of trying something a little unique for a change, which is quite nice. After Ricky Saints wins the matchup, though, we're talking like seconds later. He doesn't really get any time to sort of celebrate here. We then get the return of the ruler of NXT, and that'll be Oba Femi coming back in. The camera feed cuts immediately once his entrance begins. You sort of see his silhouette as he's sort of posing on the stage, but that's literally all we saw. So as far as I'm concerned, this image is like the next little bit. It's sort of like add a little content on the back of it. But yeah, generally speaking, second half of NXT, few things to discuss here. The Speed Championship tournament, obviously continuing with Fallon Henley defeating a debuting Skylar Ray. Tavion Heights looking impressive against Josh Briggs in a pretty physical contest. And then that last man standing match with Ricky retaining his title. And then the ruler returns. Obafemi is back in NXT. What do you make of him coming back in? Do you think he should have gone to the main roster? I know he's spoken about it in the past sort of thing. Maybe his time in NXT is done. But alas, he has returned. What do you make of our second half here, Nick?
Yeah, I thought the second half was, just as good as the first half, honestly. And I just wanted to quickly note that Blake Monroe interview, kind of interviewing her inner demons, if you will. I thought that was really unique and interesting as well. So I Yeah, I if that's going to be continuing to be a character kind of angle, I like that a bit. It's obviously kind of similar to that of what Bailey's doing on the main roster, but obviously different enough to be kind of differentiated. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting interview. Yeah, Skylar Ray and Fallon Henley, or if you're LFG fans, the Danny Sikowski. I can't say I love that name change, but regardless, the match was good. Obviously, Fallon Henley being the veteran there, I think was the right person to win. You could tell Skylar Ray did have some jitters there, nervous first match and all that, understandable completely. Um, for in terms of character changes, you kind of mentioned comparing to LFG season two. Yeah, they definitely reverted back to season one, very cheerleader esque, super happy go lucky. Um, I don't see that working on main roster. Uh, so maybe that's just kind of maybe they want to show the same development that she had through LFG, going from the happy-go-lucky to the more intense. Maybe that's kind of they wanted to show that angle there. Which if that's the case, I'm perfectly fine. But yeah, in terms of yeah, I think the pure baby face is kind of what she's coming out as. We said it countless times through this podcast, and I think that is just that doesn't really work anymore. So yeah, interesting to see where they take her character. But yeah, I think Fallon Henley getting the win here was uh, long overdue for her to get a win, and especially having a chance to compete for a title, albeit the Speed Championship, but still a title nonetheless. The Tavion Heights Josh Briggs match, yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about Tavion Heights as well. I think he does have a lot of potential. You can kind of just see him growing and growing before our eyes. This match again, was probably one of his better ones as well. And I think him beating Briggs also was the right decision. It's just a good, intense, hard hitting back and forth match. Yeah, pretty good for what it was. And the main event, Ricky Saints and Trick Williams. Yeah, I thought this was better than the Halloween Havoc match. The last man standing, last woman standing, I think is a stipulation that can grow kind of boring eventually if you don't do something different enough. And I feel like this one had enough things in it to where it did make the match interesting. Um, and I thought I didn't hate the ending. Again, I thought the match itself was better than the one of Halloween Havoc, but it was again something different. You could argue a bit anticlimactic, but regardless, I and the lasting image of Saints, having a bloodied mouth, I thought that was a cool image to see as well. Yeah, again, just for me, my takeaway from just the actual match is, what's his trick do now? It feels like he's kind of been up against it for a while. But yeah, kind of more of the same. Now, what does he do? I don't know. But then yeah, Obafemi returning. Yeah, I'm not super fond of it. We kind of talked about this off air, but I thought he made a great fit for one of those surprise contenders in the last time is now tournament on the main roster. I thought for sure that would be him, but alas, maybe not. Yeah, we'll have to see. Saints and Obafemi once again. I don't know. I think I could have done without it, but regardless, we'll trust the process. We'll see what they can do with both Trick and Oba at this point, I guess. But yeah, pretty interesting pretty good second half to NXT and pretty good NXT overall. Obviously, very heavily building up for Gold Rush over the next 2 weeks, which we do have now officially announced. We have 4 title matches on each show. The next week's show of November 18th definitely looking better than the November 25th show. But, obviously things can change. 4 title matches sounds like a lot, but we've had 3 on just a random NXT. So I imagine we will get a few more things progressing and developing in the meantime. But yeah, very much looking forward to those matches. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of it. For rating overall, yeah, I think I give this one a 7 out of 10. Did a good job of progressing to next week's Gold Rush, next 2 weeks of Gold Rush. But certainly not the best episode of NXT, but fun for what it was.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on your rating, description of the show, generally speaking, just everything that's sort of made out of it, really, here. Sort of singing off the same hymn sheets, which we normally do, to be fair. I also gave this NXT a rating of 7 out of 10. Like you, just it was a good episode for what it had, but I think it was missing a few things. It didn't really seem like a like a special NXT or anything. Even with the Last Man Standing match, is quite is quite a big statement to say that they didn't really have anything too special on it. But it was a decent enough contest, but nothing really sort of like surprised me or like moved me in a way that I was like, oh, okay, this is great sort of thing. This is fantastic. But it did build up to Gold Rush quite nicely. And Obafemi's returning is surprising. It's very confusing. So I guess we'll see what happens down the line with that one. But yeah, not a bad episode of NXT. It wasn't bad by any means necessary. Just there wasn't anything spectacular. But that is everything for this episode of NXT, guys, from us here at The Push. If you'd like what you've heard in this one, then please consider hitting a like on our video, subscribing to our channel, and keeping up with future releases coming up very, very soon. Also, please let us know in the comments what you thought of this one, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. I'm happy to hear anything that you guys are willing to say, and we'd love to hear anything that's on your minds. But for now, this has been The Push with Nick and KP, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy, and goodbye for now.